Everybody, McGrow31 back here with another episode of FSIDFS Fantasy NASCAR Pick Show. And again, thank you for those who bared with me through the Xfinity and the truck one. I've been pretty sick this weekend, so I might have to pause the video to cough, blow the nose, take a sip of my tea, but I'm going to power through this because I appreciate you watching it, and it makes me, even when I'm sick, want to get up and put this information together for you. So what did we learn from Xfinity race and from the truck race today? We learned that even good equipment can break down. We lost 6 trucks and we lost 6 cars to mechanical failure, and a lot of them were more the lesser teams. Like I said, with Preston Pardus, I said he's a great driver, but I fear like he's his own team owner, and what can happen. And like even Ben Rhodes like dropped a like drivetrain or something like at the end of the race and went from like 3rd to 10th, and like killed me. Carson Hocevar had trouble in both of them. So I did minimum cash in truck. I did okay in Xfinity, but not a great day by any means. So on to Cup, and I think we learned that you can pass here because Parker Kligerman started in the back in truck, and he pretty much blew up through the field, and then he pretty much blew up, and literally his truck caught on fire, so he was out of the race. But he was having a great day, even though he had a tech issue and had to start in the back of the field. So there are some guys that qualified bad that I think will be able to move up through the field. But generally, I think you want to pretty much focus on the guys up front, not because this is a dominator track where you need to get like laps led, fastest laps. Like fast laps should come from the front of the field, just the nature of this track. And I think you're only going to have like 16 or 17 like points for like leading laps and stuff here. So it's not that much. So those guys that get it could like make a differentiation from who doesn't, if people are playing the same guys in the same range. So just going to go through the field here quickly and talk about my thoughts. So William Byron got the pole. He did race in the Xfinity race. He finished second. Didn't necessarily dominate it. He did make some good progress in chasing AJ Allmendinger down, but pushed it a little too much. Went into a turn a little bit, an S turn a little bit too aggressively. Kind of like lost it a little bit, and then didn't wreck, but he lost the momentum that he had and couldn't catch AJ. So AJ cruised on to the victory. I mean, Byron does good on road races. I gave him the blue, and the blue aren't like necessarily people that are elite. They're better than average people. I'd call them proficient. The ones that are the rust color here are ones that are like our ringers, which are people that drive like Indy or Formula One or Grand Prix or different ones like that are really good at road courses that some of these owners bring in and put in cars on these road courses in order to try to score well for owners' points. Give some of these guys an opportunity here. So Byron, I think he's going to be very popular here, but I don't know. He really hasn't finished road courses well. So if you look at my road course data, I took the real road courses because like a lot of like, if you look at composite average, I took out the Indy road course, which is like the Indy track with some cones set up, the Daytona one. I mean, those two aren't as bad as like the Roval, which I think they kind of forced it at Charlotte. So I threw those ones out. So the only ones that we're looking at here, we're looking at COTA, we're looking at Road America, we're looking at Sonoma and Watkins Glen. These are true road courses for my data. And he has an 18th average finish, and I think it equates to be about like 8 races, 21 and 22 at like those 4 venues. It might be 6 because I can't remember if they raced in 21 at Sonoma or Watkins Glen, because I don't know if they're still under COVID restrictions. So it's anywhere 6 to 8 races. But anyway, so it's a big enough of a sample size of recent data to have. So I think you can still play him in cash. I don't know how I feel about that. Tyler Reddick looked like he was in another world here in qualifying and practice. He had the fastest practice speed. He did really well in qualifying, didn't quite get the pole. But I just worry, like, the Toyotas, besides Reddick, have not been good this year. I think they still have a lot to figure out, and it will come, definitely. You've got too much talent and too much money on these teams for it not to happen. So it's just a matter of time for them. And we saw Ford struggle a little bit last year. Like, it sometimes comes in waves. But Reddick, like, fast here and fast in practice, but is there going to be fall off in long run? And like, there is some tire fall off here. So, how does he do this? Is it a track where he can ride the wall or anything like that? So I I think he's going to be chalk. I think he's very popular. And I just have him as cash play and not as a prime play, because I'm really up in the air, which I think I want one of these two, especially if they get out early and lead a bunch of laps and get those points. But I have no idea which one. So at this point, might be leaning Reddick just because of the practice speed for Byron and just because of Byron's closeout and Reddick's rank for road courses and over the sample I took. And so that's where I'll probably lean, is that Reddick. Cindric could be a dark horse here. He was very good in Xfinity at road course racing. Hasn't had the greatest season to start off here, but 7th in practice, 17th overall since he came up to Cup. So I think that I'll definitely play him in GPPs. I also play this Jordan Taylor in GPPs. Supposedly he's a really, really good IMSA driver, did Rolex Grand Prix, and he's in really, really good equipment here. Chase Elliott, like, if Chase Elliott was on the board, he'd be like the #1 in all aspects and I think some of it was like the pit crew and setup and not just the driver. So, hopefully if you have a driver with similar skills to Chase Elliott in the same car with the same crew, with the same setup, with the same strategy, that it will lead to success. It's a little dangerous to play an unknown commodity that's starting this close to the front. I think on FanDuel, it's a great play because, and there's a great question if you go back to last week's video. I'm sorry I got sick this week, so I didn't get a chance to make a video, but I will make one with the difference with FanDuel scoring and the scoring is what the differences are between DK and FanDuel. And basically, I said, like, last week, like, Joey Logano starting on the pole and Truex, I compared the two of them. I said Truex could go out and start like 29th and lead 100 laps and finish 19th and have the same score. Like, he'd have an amazing day on DraftKings. If Joey Logano goes from first and like finishes 7th and doesn't lead a lap, he does not have value. You wasted your money on DraftKings. On FanDuel, they have the same exact score. If Logano goes out and leads no laps, starts first, finishes 7th, has an average day, and Truex goes out and has an amazing day, leads 100 laps in a race, and goes from 29th to 19th, has a tire issue late or speeding penalty on pit road, and ends up like finishing 19th. So you have 10 place differential points plus all the bonus points. It's just crazy because FanDuel also rewards you for laps completed. So you want to make sure that guys finish the race and finish on the lead lap and finish towards the front. Like, that's just how it is. Again, I'll show you like charts and graphs and break it down a little bit more in a future video. But so in FanDuel, you really want some of these guys moving and Jordan Taylor, like, his equipment should make it. So that's why you don't really want to take a Cody Ware on FanDuel, because if he's finishing like 10 laps down, that's going to really subtract from your score. Yes, he's only $3,000, but there's a reason he's $3,000, because he's really not playable usually. Maybe on like a play track, where some of those back guys can end up in the top 10 through attrition, but it's pretty much not going to happen here. Daniel Suarez, I think he's going to play him in cash here, 5th in practice. Trackhouse has always been strong on road courses, so I think he can be a good play here. Alex Bowman, a GPP here. He 20th in practice with 6th overall. He's just like so vanilla. Like, he just starts 5th, probably end up in the top 10, maybe lead a couple laps here and there. Like, just blue collar, brings his lunch packs, does his job. Sometimes, puts himself in a position to win a race every so often. Really doesn't do a ton to try to win the race, but doesn't do a lot to try to lose the race either. So again, there's some floor here, but with all the other drivers that I'm considering, I just don't think I'm going to play him in cash. But GPP, I think it's definitely someone to consider. Allmendinger, definitely a cash play here. I think it'll be highly owned, but he's not as good in this car. He's always complaining about it, seems. the Cup car compared to his Xfinity car. He seems like he's always praising the guys for how well that one is, and maybe it's just like he's run so much Xfinity that just changing this just car handles differently. It's completely different setup and different gauges and stuff. So we'll see how it translates. Like we have seen him lead in Cup, but not like as much in this new car. He has done well in road courses in Cup, so it's not like the better competition is the issue. I think it's actually the physical car for him. So 97 is pretty steep price, because of his pedigree with road courses. But again, I'll have some of them sprinkled in, but I don't think it'll be in my main cash lineup. Eric Jones, not great, not horrible. He's really close to getting the blue, but yeah, I think it'd be low owned. 14th in practice, 20th overall. I think he's starting way too far forward. He's almost a fade here, potentially. Kyle Busch, again, he's always a GPP unless it's like a track that I know that he can dominate. He looked good in the truck race and stuff like that. But when it comes to this car, I've definitely seen strides going forward this year, switching teams, switching manufacturers, but I just still don't trust him enough. There's two other guys in the 10K range that I like so much better, but definitely, he's usually the first guy in my GPP line because I just think that he's boom or bust, and I just can't put that in cash because there's not the floor there. Grayson was a really good road course driver in Xfinity. His numbers 10.2, but if you look at his like few Cup ones, it's like 26 and 25th in practice. So starting way too far forward here. I mean, again, this might be another better FanDuel play if you're looking for somebody, if you think he can finish in the top 15 or even where he starts and go out there and do his job. But for DK, I just don't like it. Bubba Wallace has gotten better on road courses, but again, the Toyotas have just been an issue. Like his rank is like 37th, like his average finish is 30th in like the 6 or 8 road course samples that I took. So I just can't play him in cash. I think people look at his like 8th practice speed and his pricing and maybe take some shots on him, but I don't think many will. So Ross Chastain, here's my first prime play. Won here last year. Trackhouse, very strong program. 3rd in practice, number 1 overall in the composite finish. If Chase Elliott was here, he'd be number 2, but truth be told. But I think, I really like the upside here, and he's probably where I'm going to start my lineups. Then I got to decide, am I going to put Kyle Larson with him also? If I do this, I'm kind of sacrificing somebody leading early, but I think that these two could potentially, they're so aggressive, get up through the field to get the lead very soon. They're both cars are fast in practice. They're 1 and 2. So, and I think Larson will be very popular also. So that's my decision. Can I do a 3 Kings lineup like I talked about in Truck and Xfinity and get like a Byron with a Chastain and Larson, or a Reddick with a Chastain and Larson? And the trouble is like you don't have as much value, and the pricing's not as soft as it was in Truck and Xfinity here. I mean, you end up with, like, they're not horrible guys. You're not in the Blicky, Dillon, Connor Daly range. You end up more in the Austin Dillon, Justin Haley, Stenhouse range for your last 3 in. So, I mean, it is doable, but it does give you like somebody that could potentially dominate early on, and 2 guys that could really get up there and dominate and potentially win the race. So definitely a viable strategy that I'm weighing. But I think that what I'm going to look at, and if you really want to be different in a GVP, then go Cindric. If you think he can go out there and dominate early, which a lot of people were on Byron and Allmendinger in the Xfinity race, and Sheldon Creed went out and led, from like the 3rd or 4th spot, like quite a bit of, or if some laps out there. I can't say quite a bit, but he was out front. So maybe Cindric does the same thing, and that 1,000 that you're saving there might upgrade you to get into the more like the Michael McDowell, Jimmy Johnson, Chris Buescher you're in the 7Ks instead of the 6Ks. So, you'll just have to see how your build comes out with that. Christopher Bell, GPP, like we've seen him do well on road courses. I think he's a decent road course driver, but again, the Toyota, I'm just worried about long run speed with him. And 17th in practice, 16th overall. I think, he might finish where he starts. That just doesn't do enough for me. Joey Logano, car just doesn't do great in dirty air, and he's starting in the middle of the pack. I never would really consider him like a great road course driver. I don't think he's like a horrible one, but just not somebody that I don't know if he can even get into the top 10. I think he's gonna fight the car all day. Like 9th in speed, so maybe get there, but GPP, I'm not interested. Harrison Burton's a fade. Harrison Burton shouldn't even be in Cup. I know he did a little bit better last week, but the week before, caused an accident, just spinning out, and just looks embarrassing out there too. So I'm not touching him. He's completely dead to me. Ty Gibbs, I think, is intriguing. Starting a little too far forward here, but I think, he had a solid run. And the Xfinity car, again, it's a completely different car, handles differently, and it's more of kind of his wheelhouse. He's starting to get used to this. The Toyotas, again, have just been a tick slow. Worry about long run speed as I do with all the Toyotas. But I think, he's definitely aggressive. So I think can he pick up some spots and get up into like the top 15, maybe the top 10? Potentially. The price isn't decent, 11th in practice, but his composite finish in road courses is 33. He raced a couple in Cup last year when filling in for Kurt Busch. It's similar car, similar situation, so not much has really changed, even though he's an official Gibbs car and not a 2311 car. But still, I think that I'll definitely have him in some lineups, but it's not going to be a primary cash play. Stenhouse, I think, is maybe a trap here also. Starting a little bit too far forward. 13th in practice looked good there, but how's he going to do in traffic with other cars around him? Tries to be a little too aggressive, especially with his driving. So could end up in a sand pit very easily and out of the race or breaking something on the car. So GPP, I'm not going to put a complete fade on him. Briscoe, always like guys that, Briscoe, as I always say, he really knows how to shift the car. He does well with shifting and braking, and I think that can make a difference. 83 is a little bit of a steep price tag here, but I think, he's a solid cash play. 14th composite finish, 26 in practice, but maybe they're just trying some things. Maybe they got it figured out. That's why they got 19th. So I think it's a top 15 car if 83 is probably no man's land if you're trying, especially with 3. But if you want like more of a balanced build to take like Chastain, Larson, and then, like Briscoe here, then I think that he could work out in that. Michael McDowell looked very good in practice, just kind of biffed on the qualifying lap, which put him back here in 20th. So I think he's very high owned. I think he's definitely a prime play at 71. He's a good road course driver. 6th in practice, 10th overall. Like everything points to like this is going to be a smash play. Denny Hamlin, I think you can play in cash. Borderline cash again, the Toyotas, but I've seen him get up there and do well in road courses. So I don't think he's a 21st place car, even though his practice speed was 19th. Like his composite finish is like around 11th. So I think he can definitely get into top 15, maybe sniff the top 10. So with the upside there, and should be some floor. I don't think he's going to fall all the way to the back. Play him in cash. Kimi Rinkonen or Kimi Raikkonen. He's from Finland. F1 racer. He's run in all 3 series. In the truck series, he finished 15th in a road course, 27th in Xfinity, and 37th in Cup. So, but he's in a trackhouse car here, and these trackhouse cars are strong. So, guy could be a sleeper. So I'm leaving him as a GPP. I just can't look at him and play him in cash, but especially because he's not a known commodity. 32 in practice, qualified a little bit better. I really need to see something before I play him in cash. Haley has improved a lot. I think with Allmendinger as his teammate, he's learned a lot from him. At a road course, it's a fair price. If at last minute in cash, it's fine at 6,200, but I think he's more of a GPP. Jensen Burton is in a Rick Ware car. This is the same car. He's an F1 driver from England. I don't think that he's going to. I mean, but I do think there's like some Stuart Haas support behind this car. So a little bit more pricey than I'd like to pay. Low ownership, but could be another sleeper. So, if you for some reason you want to pick some of the known commodities that like Ross, maybe a good GPP lineup would be Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, Jordan Taylor, Kimmy, and Jensen Button here, and throw them all into a lineup and figure out how much money you have left and take the best guy that you think to fill in there. And then you have the three ringers. Don't take Connor Daly. I'll get to him in a second. But, maybe if some of these guys, or if one of them hits, then, that would be a great GPP. Do that in like the dollar, maybe the chrome horn for $4. I wouldn't do it in like the $10 one unless you've got a lot of expendable income. But just a thought here in case some of these ringers actually do pan out. But in the other two series, like we really didn't see anybody like have a stellar, like dominant day of any of the ringers that they brought in. They had good days, but nobody was like elite. Martin Truex, I think you can play him in cash. I think it'll be quite popular here. Again, I kind of fear the Toyotas. I think he and Hamlin, just because there's some place differential and they're usually not this bad. You'll see high ownership and you'll see some people play them in cash just based on namesake. But, their practice times were around 20th. Their finish on most road courses are around 10th. So I think it's pretty much the same play with this $300 difference. Obviously, Truex is the better play because he's got the more potential for place differential, the more potential not to lose place differential, and you save $300. So if it comes down to the two of them, then I would pick him. Priest, not a great road course guy here. Could finish where he starts, should finish in the top 30 GPP. Corey LaJoie, not his type of track. GPP to a fade here. Austin Dillon, he and Harrison Burton are my cross-offs every single week. I just can't play them. Austin Dillon just looks so bad this year. And I don't really consider him a great road course driver. So wonder where he finished last week. Maybe I'm being too hard on him. Let me look up last week at Atlanta. Where did Austin Dillon finish? He finished. Let me get the cup race. Something to tell me he actually started to do better. Austin Dillon, he finished 20th, started 13th. So still, I'm just not seeing like a lot out of him. So fade for me. Kevin Harvick, I think he's going to be a cash play. I think he's going to be highly owned because there is a build that I think is going to be very popular, and you're going to land with $8,000 left, and they're just going to throw Kevin Harvick in there. So, like he's been good on road courses, but when TK and I used to do videos together, we used to always say, like, if you've run for 20 years and run 100 road courses, like you're going to be good at everything at some point in your career. But is that point still now? No. I'm still heartbroken that he didn't win the race a couple of weeks ago when he should have had that one at it was Phoenix or Vegas where he was leading, and then he took the 4 tires and others took 2 tires because he pitted first and they saw what he did and did the exact opposite. But I think he still has a win coming. I just don't think it's going to be here. And place differential, I think you get up there. So I think you can play him in cash. I think you can get it up to the top 25 at least, maybe sniff the top 20. But I don't think he's going to go out there and lead and dominate the race at all. Keselowski, I have seen promise in him. He is looking so much better than he has like last year. I thought he was toast. I thought he was done. He finished second last week, ran a really good race, not a great road course guy. So GPP here, but in future weeks, I'll be keeping my eye on him and might actually start playing him again. Jimmy Johnson, I think, is a fade. I know he did Indy, and I know he's done road courses in the past and stuff, but this isn't his Hendricks car. And You look at his 8th overall finish, but like 36 in practice speed here. Didn't qualify well. I just don't see at 7,300 how I can spend the money on him. I'd rather take a chance on like a on Kimmy there at 7K, or like, yeah, I look at him and McDowell. Like, McDowell's definitely the play at 71 if I'm in that price range. Or if you have $400 more, like Chris Buescher here, uh, he's really run well at road courses, secretly and quietly, but like he didn't do well in practice here and didn't qualify well. So, if they make the adjustments and figure things out, I don't think this is a 32nd place car here. And at 7,700, if you end up in that range, if you're not trying to jam in like a 9K guy and the 210K guys, then I think he's definitely somebody here that has some decent place differential that can work well in your lineup. Blicky, GPP, even though he trains people how to run on road courses, he's not the best driver. Ty Dillon, the equipment I don't trust. He's not bad on road courses, but I just don't. Connor Daly has just almost finished last in every single cup race he's run in this money team. I just worry about the equipment. He might be good at road courses, but I don't know if he'll be able to be good in this car. Gillian, at GPP, maybe even a cash play here. Like, I think he can get up into the top 25. Was decent in trucks and road course, and it wasn't bad last year. So I think, he's one of my favorite punts, and maybe I'll switch him over to cash. I think that I can stomach that. Cody Ware is a fade here. Again, like with the equipment, you want, I don't know if he'll be able to make it through the full race. Blaney, I think this is going to be like the lock button here. Probably the highest owned guy on the slate in cash, because he's a really good road course driver. In the qualifying, he was going up the hill too aggressively, and he locked the wheels and ended up sliding off to the side into the gravel pit. And that like really killed his momentum. So he had a horrible qualifying lap. Eric Almirola, who's starting last, did the same exact thing, but Blaney is a good road course driver. Eric Almirola is not. He's good on like flat tracks, but he's not good on road course drive. He started 13th in Xfinity, and I know a lot of people played him. He finished 20th. He did not have a good day, and he went out there for practice. He was 35th in speed, where Blaney was 12th. So Blaney, I love lock in. I think a lot of people are going to play Almirola. I think he's going to be very high owned. I think people are going to start their lineup with like maybe Chastain, Larson, Blaney, Almirola, and see what that opens up for them for the other two. But I am just not. I'm going to resist the temptation to play Blaney and cash. I'd rather start my lineup with Blaney, with Chastain, and McDowell. See if I can get Larson, Byron, or Reddick in as the third piece. And then I really want to fill in with like solid value, probably closer to the front, because I don't think there's going to be a ton of place differential up for grabs here. I think that, there'll be some attrition and people move backwards, but I think the field, when you look at it, how it finishes, that people are going to finish with maybe 3 or 4 positions of where they started, like barring like maybe half dozen guys that like move up or down rapidly. I think most of the field is not going to move around a ton. If somebody starts 20th, I think they could finish anywhere from like 15th to 25th, like somewhere, within 3 to 5 positions of where they started up or down. So I don't really see like a ton of these guys in the back like blowing forward, and a ton of these guys up that started up front like falling all the way back. So it's not like a plate track where like you have like a line of cars can pass another line of cars and you can move from back to front all the time. So, or a short track where they're all like in a line and nobody can pass. So thank goodness my voice made it through here. So I appreciate you watching. Sorry it's not under the weather, and hopefully I gave you 100% of what I had to give you tonight to get through this. So I look forward to the race tomorrow. Hopefully it's an enjoyable one. The first 2 weren't bad. It's nice, not to have a monsoon there. One thing that we did find out from Zane Smith winning the truck race is the mud flaps are very flammable. So if you do a burnout and then this truck caught on fire, like literally like blazing fire, and like nobody had a fire extinguisher and people are just like standing there staring at it, I'm thinking this thing's full of of like fuel, like, you know, I'd be like moving aside. I wouldn't be standing right next to it grabbing marshmallows at all. But anyways, so thanks for watching. I'm Mega Rower 31. If you leave some comments below, I'll try to check back before the race tomorrow and get you some answers for that. And you can hit me up at Twitter at Mega Rower 31. If you want more information on FSIDFS, it is in the bio below. So you can click on there, you can go to our website and see all our subscriptions for all the things that we have, or just come join our Discord community. There's plenty of free things in there for you to play and to try. And if these videos help you, then, you know, I enjoy making them for you, even, you know, like I said, I don't feel well, but, you know, it's a priority because if you guys keep watching, I will do what I can to continue to put these videos out. So if I help you, then how you can help me is like the video, click the like button, share with your friends, get more people to watch the video. So that way the algorithm just sends out to even more people that can find us and to join our community or subscribe to our channel. So, you know, when the videos are coming out and see what other cool things that we have, like baseball is coming up, Gator does soccer, we do golf on a weekly basis. So lots of cool things there. So thanks again for watching. Really appreciate your time on this Saturday evening, and good luck in your contest tomorrow. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, and I'll see you next week.